Well, well, well. Queen Rhaenyra's got a strong pimp hand. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Again, a little delayed. If you've watched the Presumed Innocent review that went up late, this is going up late because traveling and got stuck in that whole crowd strike mess. And for a moment, I thought about not doing this particular episode, continuing on just skipping an episode one. Can't do that because I'm a completist, and I feel like I kind of gotta have to do it, even if it's going to be late. There's only 7 of you who have already passed the wave of this episode. I mean, no longer want to hear about it. I still need to do it. But two, anytime there's an episode where when they're bitch slap somebody, yeah, I want to talk about it. So here we are at episode 6 of House of the Dragon. It's called Smallfolk. Another one of those slower, intimate episodes. Not much action, not any action actually happens in this episode. Um, it's interesting that they're choosing to do it this way. It's only 8 episodes, meaning we're past the halfway mark. It means we only have 2 more episodes after this. We've really only had one action scene episode in this entire series. It's been a lot of a slow moving crawl. It doesn't always bother me. And I actually quite enjoy it here because there's a lot of, again, chess pieces moving. But at some point in time, if we're moving all these chess pieces, there needs to be some bit of a payoff. And with 2 episodes left, I don't know if we're going to have enough time to actually get to that payoff and more or less likely enjoy it. I feel like the big action is going to come in that 8th episode on a cliffhanger, and then we have to wait another 8 years before we get season 3. I'm being facetious; it's not going to take that long, but the gaps between seasons of shows now is not the same as it used to be. Whereas, like, we're on a set schedule. Cool, we're going to shoot right after this, and we're going to be back the following year. This could be 2 years, so that's the only sort of hang up that I have. So this episode begins with the Lannisters riding in near to Golden Tooth and meeting with the Leffords. And they are requesting that the Leffords send a raven to Aemon, who is now the placeholder of as the king, send to summon him to Harrenhal. Like, his appearance is being requested at Harrenhal. He wants them to summon him there. That does not sit well with Aemon at all. Aemon's very furious and upset about that. He's not really letting his council get in a word edgewise. He is very it's funny. He and Aegon are very similar in this that, like, the council, while there are a lot of smart men on this council, smart men and women, sorry, Allison, he is choosing actively to not listen to them. But Aemon's furious. He is not taking the counsel of Lars, Mr. Clubfoot himself, Tylan, Orwell, Alicent, or Kristen Cole, who now is sort of a shell of his former self. But he is asking to send Kristen to Harrenhal. And Kristen's like, this isn't a good idea. Like, I should be building more of our army so that when we do go there, we are prepared. And Daemon's like, no, I want you to go there. And if Daemon is there and he wants to fight me, I will come meet you when I have the time, and I will look forward to actually fighting Daemon. Sort of a precursor, looks like a little bit of foreshadowing to that eventual meeting of Aemon versus Daemon. Christian doesn't want to go, and everybody's sort of reluctant to send him, but Aemon's the king right now, and so he acquiesced and listens. He also requests that Tylan goes to meet with the leader or the head of the Triarchy right now so that we can sort of figure out what's happening with the borders at the water, where sea snakes are basically blockading and stopping food and stopping stuff from coming in. So go check that out and see what the hell you're going to do. And then meetings adjourned. Cool, I don't want to talk to anybody else. I'm done. It's at that point that Alicent comes to try to talk to him as mother to son. Is like, hey, what's going on? Are you listening? Are you not taking counsel? And at that point, he's like, cool, Mom, you're fired. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Your time on the council was well served, but you can go ahead and bounce. Ouch. But he does it with gratitude, so that means something, right? Right? We then see that at Rhaenyra's council, Corlys does take the hand position that he was offered. And then we see a pretty interesting scenario where Stefan Darkin is asked to come speak to Queen Rhaenyra. Mind you, Queen Rhaenyra has not run this idea by anybody on her council except for her son, Jace, who's there. She requests that Stefan arrives because she's aware that Stefan has some Targaryen blood in within him. And there's a cross between Darkland and Targaryens that occurred, which sort of brought you there. So there's some blood in you that exists. And I think because my court won't allow me to ride, and we don't have another rider to ride, we have a dragon that's riderless. Perhaps you would be willing to give this a shot and give this an attempt. I'm not saying it'll work. I'm not saying it won't. But I think this is the avenue that we're sort of trying to go. A couple of people on council give her real looks. The one who doesn't, Corliss, doesn't move or mention or say anything. Kind of like, all right, let's give it a shot, because we know what we're up against. He does mention that, like, my daughter, like, I think Stephanie brings up, like, your daughter is closer to Targaryen blood than I, and he brings up, like, yeah, it didn't work out with her, and so we're going a different avenue. Stefan is willing to pledge his allegiance to Queen Rhaenyra and do whatever the hell she asks. And so she's like, I appreciate your willingness and loyalty. You're willing to just jump in and give this a shot. It's risky. They all know it's risky. They both know it's risky. But they attempt it. It does not go well, to say the least. Sea Smoke does not take to Stefan well. It seems like for a moment Stefan is speaking in a tongue that seems to soothe and calm Sea Smoke, but then something occurs, throws him off his equilibrium a little bit, and Sea Smoke sets him on fire. So we get to watch Stefan burn in agony there, and everybody's kind of has to scatter and leave as that plan did not work. And so back to the drawing board to try to find a writer for Sea Smoke. At Harrenhal, Daemon is continuing to have the hallucinations, but are known as the hallucinations of Harrenhal. And he sees Viserys, his brother, on the Iron Throne. And he is giving him crap about the comments he made after his son died, basically at a young age, directly after birth, I believe it was. I think it was something sort of like, oh, well, there goes the heir for the day, or something like that. And it's clearly this is a hallucination, and that comment has bothered Daemon in some way. But Viserys is sort of projecting that back on him, and Daemon wants to know parts of it. He hears it a little bit, and then he tries to escape that room, but it's locked. It's locked on the other side. He then eventually it's opened by Simon Strong. And then Daemon tries to attack Simon Strong. It's like, you guys are poisoning me. I don't know what the hell it is you're doing, but you guys are putting something in the water that is effing me up. And I need you guys to stop it right now. So at that point, Simon says, I'm innocent. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not doing anything to you. To which Daemon says, all right, cool. But I'm watching you. My eyes are on you. He attempts to leave. Daemon attempts to leave. And then Alice meets him outside and says, this place is cursed. And Damon's not really trying to hear any of that. He's like, I call BS. And then they started going down the history and the merits and the burden that is on the person. Whoever holds the crown has a heavy burden upon them, and all the weight that comes with it. At that point, the Daemon sort of asks for her assistance. Like, hey, can you help me in any way? And she tells him that the House Tully may not have the largest castle, but it is the stronghold of Ravenhold, and I expect something to change regarding that within the next 3 days. That's all she sort of leaves it at. He's like, okay. She's putting some of that voodoo magic out in the air. Through Mysaria sort of pushing this agenda through the town, Sylvie sort of spreads to Diana that Aemon is having these lavish parties at the brothel while all these people are struggling for food. We see a lot of sequences in this episode where the Smallfolk are having a hard time finding food and making ends meet. And so we then see a sequence later in the episode where Kat, Hugh's wife, is in line trying to get food. It's basically rationing out food. She's in line. She's probably like the third up, and right before she's about to go, the food runs out. No more food. And so they're like, well, crap. And it's a whole bunch of people behind her. Then all of a sudden they see a wagon with a bunch of live sheep, cattle, being taken off to Vhagar. And basically they are food for Vhagar while all these people struggle. So they're like, well, hold on, wait a minute. You're telling me that this dragon gets to go eat in luxury and be fine, but the people who are here, people who are putting their fidelity towards you and saying, hey, you are the king, You're not doing anything for us. What the hell? After the failed episode of How to Train a Dragon occurs, shout out to you, Andres. Rhaenyra is met with some reluctance by Bartimaeus, and Bartimaeus is just talking out the side of his mouth. He's like, "Yo, this didn't work. Do I can believe this?" Having a diary of the mouth, but forgetting that he's speaking to the queen. And Rhaenyra quickly has to remind him. She backhands the shit out of that boy. I don't think I've spit out water in quite some time. And I did like, oh, Rhaenyra, cool. And then she follows that up with like, I think I've made the mistake of letting you forget that I'm the queen. I run shit around here. Stop talking to me the way that you're talking to me. I know that that was a mistake. I know that was a f up. You don't get to tell me that. You said your piece. Cool. Queen, stop talking. She then goes into her quarters, and my Mysaria meets her there to just say, hey, the plan is working. The townspeople are hungry. We know what's going on. I've gotten word that they are ready for the taking. We just need to light that match and get this ball rolling. And Rhaenyra's like, okay, let's do that tonight. And then randomly, my Mysaria is kind of like, oh, by the way, you look good as hell in that outfit. That's your look. You should keep that up. And it's for a brief moment you can sort of see that Rhaenyra reverts back to her child. And it's like, oh, wait, what? She just pick up pass it? Okay, maybe not. I'm going to go back to do my queen stuff. Loras warns Aemon that, hey, the town people are getting a little bit restless. We're not giving food. We're not giving anything. We're starting to lose them. We need to do something for them. And Aemon's like, they're fine. We're not going to worry about them. They're perfectly fine where they are. And he then passes blame. He's like, the reason why they are upset is because Corlys is blocking the gullet and nothing is able to pass through on the ship. So this isn't my fault. This is their fault. And we're trying to work that out. It's funny at this point, Lars then tries to submit himself as a candidate for Aemon's hand, which he was basically about to be the hand for Aegon before all of this took place. He's now trying to get that same window with Aemon. Aemon's like, nah, I'm good. Do you really think that I'm going to have you be my hand? Nah. Can you do me a quick favor? Can you call and reach out to Otto? Because he wants to bring back Otto, who would be the hand for him, probably. While that is occurring, Orwell shows up and is like, hey, real quick, just want to let y'all know Aegon is awake. He's breathing, and seems to be breathing easier now. And so, while there's a long road ahead for him, there's a chance that he could be coming back around. Aemon immediately goes to go check on his baby brother, like, oh, let me go see what's going on. And he sort of twists that knife a little bit, not literally, but pretty close to it. He takes the stone that he was always playing with at the council and sort of just presses it into his burns and just says, hey, do you remember anything? And Aegon's like, nah, I don't remember. I don't remember anything. And he's not really saying this, more so than he's kind of moaning it out. Like, and it's at that point that Aemon sort of just feeds him a story of what he should be remembering. It's like, hey, you tried to challenge Malaise and you lost. And so this is what happened. Not bringing up the fact that, Vhagar pretty much burned everybody, both of them. And again, Aegon, in the best way that he can, says, I don't remember anything. I don't remember a thing. So at that point that Orwell comes in, Aemon kisses Aegon on the forehead. Orwell comes in and says, hey, he's got a long recovery, but I think there couldn't be something. And Aemon's like, cool, just do the best you can for my brother. And so now there's sort of a ticking clock on Aemon's time with the crown. While he may never return to full strength, there could be a point where Viserys was ruling the kingdom with like one eye and half his tooth hanging out. He was a hot mess. So if Aegon can get to any point where he can actually sit on the throne again, Aemon knows that he's going to immediately lose his chair. So now he knows there's a ticking clock sort of on the amount of time that he can do what it is that he wants to do. There's a quick scene where Rhaena sees hints and tidbits that there's a dragon without a rider on the loose, like doing some damage here and there. But then she gets a note from Prince Reggio that she and Rhaenyra's two kids can come take counsel and take solace in their kingdom. So it gives where their place is now starting to become a little unsafe with the dragon and all that stuff. They're going to go to a place now where they can kind of find a little bit more comfort and safety. Corlys's kids, which he's not claimed, but we know that they're his, mainly because they're the only other black people on the show. But Alan is shaving his head to sort of hide his white locks of being tied to his father. Adam is also Corliss's son, but he doesn't have the white locks, so it's a little easier for him to hide in plain sight. Adam, though, longs for the sort of acceptance and belonging of the riches and whatnot that Corliss has, where Alan kind of like, it is what it is, whatever. I can't live my life trying to wait for that. That's important for what sort of happens to Adam at the tail end of this episode. Jace goes to tell Rhaenyra that, hey, like, we gave it a shot. It was a good effort to try to get Stefan to sync with Sea Smoke, but without a dragon, we don't stand a chance. So we need to get Daemon back here. And without Daemon, we don't have a shot. Rhaenyra quickly is like, why does everybody keep talking about Daemon? Daemon. She kind of does her Marsha with Daemon. They're like, stop talking about Daemon. I got this. And there's another, I think, a way that for her, she feels like everybody's saying, why isn't the man here? Why isn't the man here handling this? Where's the man? You clearly can't do this on your own. She's like, just stop doing that. At that point, the Massaria comes in and is like, hey, look, we've lit the match and things are on their way. She doesn't go into depth with it because Jace is there. And Rhaenyra, Jace sort of asks a question to his mom. He's like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And neither of them mention it or talk about it. It kind of just like, nope, not bringing this up to you. But the plan is they have sent boats with food and black and red flags representing Rhaenyra to arrive at Blackwater Bay. So it's arriving on those shores, multiple of them, providing food to the small folk of the keep, and calamity ensues. We then see a bit of a moment with Alicent just kind of going through the motions of her kid. Like, did she do them wrong? She's at her bedside with Aegon and kind of just wondering if there's ever a point where he'll get back to even being close to what he was before. And Olo comes in and is like, but the road to recovery is going to be long. And there's a chance he may never be who he was once before. And Alicent just kind of keeps saying, I'm sorry. And she's wondering, she even so much as says, she goes to talk to her brother, Gawain, as they're about to head off to Harrenhal. She's like, well, how's my other kid? How's my kid, Darren, who is over with Otto? He's like, he's fine. He's a sweet kid, smart kid. He's good with the sword and good with the women. But the biggest thing is he's kind. And that word immediately strikes with her because she's like, well, maybe they all should have been raised there. Like, did I do them a disservice raising them here? Because none of my kids are kind. None of the boys. None of my kids are kind. They all have a streak for them. And I've sort of put this energy behind them to be the king, and this is all they have. And they're ruthless. She also asked about Otto. It's like, have you heard from Otto? It's like, I've reached out to him a bunch of times, but he hasn't gotten back to me. And Gwen's like, look, if he's ever going to reach out to either of us, it's going to be you before it's me, because he actually likes you. He doesn't care that much about me. But you also have to remember that Otto is going to reach out when he is good and well ready. When he has a plan and he's ready to reach out, that's when he will reach out. So I wouldn't hold your breath trying to get an answer from him. She had a bit of a shot of her looking at and longing at Kristen Cole, who is just a broken man, before he heads out to Harrenhal. She then goes to go chat with Helena, who is looking at her bugs and kind of, like, again, when I say that the rest of them aren't kind, it's the boys. She has not had an aspiration. She has not had put on her the driving force of being a king, because it's not something that women sort of aspire to be outside of Rhaenyra. And so she's still very innocent, even though she's lost one of her kids. It's all about bugs. And she's living her life in a very simple-minded way. Somebody should just take her out of that kingdom and just let her go do her bug thing. As Alex is talking to Helena, a Night's Guard comes in and says, hey, we got to get y'all the hell up out of here, because calamity has ensued even more. The townsfolk, the small folks, have started a riot. A riot is like blowing up more and more throughout the kingdom, and is approaching the castle. And so they try to get them to escape. As they're trying to get them to escape, they are getting things thrown at them. Some of them hit tomatoes, I think, at Alicent's face. One of them even grabs Alicent by the wrist. He loses his hand for it. And so at that point, Alicent tells the Night Guard, put holster your knives. Like, put your swords away. Do not bring them back out. Sheath them immediately. Put them in your sheath. I understand what she's doing as a queen. In the moment, she's like, you can't start going around killing and maiming um, townsfolks, especially when most of this is at our own response. Like, we were responsible for this. At the same time, they're in a very precarious situation. So these Knights Guards are going to be easily swarmed if you're not using force to sort of back them up. And so we see some of them get swarmed on and kind of like stomped to a pulp. They eventually get Allison and Helena to their cart and their buggy to get taken away. But yeah, it's an ugly, ugly mess that could have been made a little cleaner, but it's clearly that they have not done a good job. While there's so much going on and checking in for the kingdom and looking for power and all that stuff, they have not actually handled the folks of the groundswell of their people. And in a way, Rhaenyra has sort of found a back door into taking sort of the footing out from Aegon and Aemon's reign. While that's happening, Loras is trying to get in more with Aegon. He's like, I failed with Aemon, so let me try to get with Aegon. So he tells the handmaid to stop giving him milk of the poppy. And it's like, you need to sort of sit in this pain. He goes down the history of how he became the clubfoot and sort of been known, and how his father thought it was a disease and so on. How he was always sort of belittled, but you got to make more of this. To that point that Aegon asks Loras for help. That's just the hook that Loras sort of needs. He can't get in with the Aemon, but he can get in with the younger, more naive brother. And hopefully for him, he's attaching himself to the right one, to sort of get a little bit more of a say in what's happening in his kingdom. After yet another hallucination, Daemon is just catching it. Simon wakes him up to let him know that Lord Grover Tully is dead. Alice's premonition sort of has come true, and that currently now the grandson to Tully is now the new lord. And so a change in faction has sort of occurred. Alice is right, and he sort of starts crying and laughing hysterically. He's basically having a moment to saying, okay, this is working. This is, she was right. It also allows him a little bit. There's a moment where someone else mentions having seen Alice, and so he no longer thinks that she's a figment of his imagination. So it helps him realize that, okay, I'm going crazy, but not completely batshit crazy. And in our last sort of sequence is that we see Adam spots sea smoke flying, starts running from him, get terrified, starts running, and to the point where he then falls and sea smoke sort of corners him. And so what we eventually are seeing, we don't see it on screen, but what we can infer that it's happening is that there's a Bluetooth pairing happening between Adam and sea smoke, and so the blood that is in him is allowing him to sort of connect to this dragon, and sea smoke has chosen who his rider is going to be. While that's happening, Mysaria and Rhaenyra are having a meeting again to say what has come of all the food that has been dropped off. And they get a little bit more intimate about her scars and what's happened and why she can't have kids and all so forth and so forth. And Rhaenyra and she get close, they hug, which then turns into a very passionate kiss. Kiss that apparently has caused a lot of people to review bomb this episode. For reasons. It's 2024, guys. Let's grow up. I don't know if this is a piece of the book. I don't know if there is a sexual proclivity to women for Rhaenyra in the books, but I can say that with the actress that is chosen for Rhaenyra, it's not unbelievable, and I don't think it hurts anything for me. From what I can see, I don't know where everything has to go, but nothing is bothered by that. But while they're making out, while they're kissing, a guard comes in. He doesn't see them. They break before he can spot them. But he tells Rhaenyra that sea smoke has been spotted flying around Spice Town. And she's like, well, who's riding him? He's like, well, we can't get close enough to see who that is. She's like, all right, cool. And then she immediately just goes and gets on her dragon. She goes and mounts up on Cyrax and makes her way over to Spice Town to see who it is who's on that dragon. It's a weird way to end the episode, only because it's been forecast to us who that is connection. So it's not really a cliffhanger. It's like, all right, she's going to go now. It does put her in a bit of a danger because everybody's been saying, stay off your damn dragon. because if you go out there on your dragon, some ill stuff could happen. So yes, she's putting herself in peril. So I can see how that is. But we know where she's going. She's going to go see that it's a family lineage. Her hand's kid is. She won't know that, but kind of can infer it. Ain't that many black people in this world. um, but I don't see how that's that big of a cliffhanger. But all in all, a decent episode. I think for me, it's probably my least favorite episode of the season so far because there's just not a lot happening. Not anything to do with the kiss. They're the biggest sort of piece or movement in this episode is how Rhaenyra and Masaria's plan of putting food in the bellies of the small folk is going to give them a bit of a inner back door to that town and to sort of weaken the belief system in Aemon and Aegon, which I think is half the battle. I think you want to turn more people into your favor versus theirs. And I think that's what she's doing. And so at the very least, that is working. But with 2 episodes left, I think we need to sort of get some type of action beat. We've spent after episode 4, where we did a big action beat, and then we went to our separate corners. We're spending a little too much time in our separate corners before something has to happen where they kind of meet back up. And I need that to happen quicker than not. And with 2 episodes, they don't really have a choice. What did you guys think about the 6th episode of House of the Dragon called Smallfolk? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can visit us on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. This next episode will be up in time, in the correct amount of time. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.